Yes, I'm Becca Scarratt. I am making a classic shortbread, and this is the pan that I'm using here. And it's for the Great Matisse Shortbread Bake Off, which is January 2025 for Robbie Burns. Well, my brother gave it to me for a birthday present, and it came with a recipe book. And that's the recipe that I use to make shortbreads. Or you start with the butter. So this is the butter in here, just a half a cup of butter. And you add in a third of a cup, and I'm going to probably spill this, but a third of a cup of powdered icing sugar. And you add them together in cream. So it's unsifted. So a third of a cup of icing sugar, unsifted. When my son was home, I preferred to cook sweet things. Lots of cakes, lots of cookies. My sister-in-law even gave me the Big Baking Bake-Off cookbook. And I have a lot of recipes. My mom used to make a lot of sweet things too. But since my son is not at home anymore, and my husband decided that he's the only one eating sweet things because I don't eat a lot of sweet things anymore, it's savory for sure. I use my Instant Pot a lot, and I make a lot of savory foods. I think the Scottish use the caster sugar because my mother-in-law, who is from Scotland, from Glasgow, was quite alarmed that I was using icing sugar. When she saw me making the recipe, she figured it should be made out of caster sugar. So then you mix these together. Actually, could you get the whipper out of the drawer there for me, please, Rachel? So it has to be nice and smooth, so creamed well together. Well, my first link with Scotland was Scottish dancing. We had a couple of girlfriends that were in Girl Guides, and we decided to do Scottish Highland dancing with swords. And then when I went to Queen's University, they had a Scottish band with bagpipers and all string instruments. It was 150 people in the band, and we would play for the football games. So we would march to the football stadium and then do the halftime show and the pre-game show. And we would bring our swords with us and put the swords down and dance around the swords at the halftime show. And then we went to the Cotton Bowl Parade in Dallas, Texas with the Scottish band. And that was a really fun experience. And then I married my husband, whose mother was born in Glasgow. So my mother-in-law is true and true Scottish. And then a quarter of a teaspoon of vanilla. My love of cooking came from my father. My mom was the one that cooked at home, but my dad was the real foodie. And of course, it's pure vanilla extract. Whenever we went anywhere, he would always investigate a new restaurant, a new type of food. And when he chose ice cream, it was always vanilla. But besides that, for his food, he chose different things and different choices. So, yeah. So those are 3 ingredients. And the last ingredients, if I can get you to take these tools to the kitchen for me, please. And these. Is 1 cup of flour. And again, it's unsifted flour. I make this recipe of shortbread about once a year for Robbie Burns night. So now the last step is to mix it by your hand. I love cooking. It's my go-to thing to do. I have lots of hobbies, but I love cooking. And when I do cook, if you check my front room, I have a whole entire bookcase filled with cookbooks. I love collecting cookbooks, and I have certain recipes from different cookbooks. I don't necessarily write them out, but I refer to the cookbook for the recipes. And what I used to do when my son was home is I would pick one cookbook for a month and I would choose all my fun recipes out of that cookbook. I wouldn't necessarily make a fun recipe every night, but if I was thinking, oh, I wonder what I'll make tonight, I would choose that same cookbook and find something in it. And you discover some things that you wouldn't normally discover because you always go to your go-to recipes for that cookbook, and this encourages you to go a little bit out of the comfort zone. I have several fun recipes that I really like. The one recipe that comes to mind as a good one is a spicy chicken noodle. It's a Thai recipe, and it's a peanutty chicken noodle spicy Thai recipe. It's really delicious. So the sauce used to do separately, the noodles you cook separately, the chicken you cook separately, and then you add it all together. It's very delicious. Coming for supper? My favorite cookbooks are the ones that have the picture on one side and the recipe on the other side. Because that's what the recipe says. It says to knead the dough on an unfloured board until nice and smooth. But I find that I just do it in the bowl itself, and then I don't lose any of the pieces that are stuck on the bowl. So it works very nicely. Because it's an unfloured board anyway, so it doesn't make a change. And then you spray the pan and put the shortbread in the pan. So there we are. Paste the shortbread and you mold it to the pan. In Barcelona, I love going to Poissonnerie Gagnon and the fish there. I make fish chowder, which my recipe comes from Nova Scotia. Love their Emblée Chevalier, the Arctic char. The scallops are tremendous. Whenever we get a chance to celebrate, that's where we go to for our celebratory dinner is with scallops. But definitely the Poissonnerie Gagnon is something that I like. The restaurant scene, I do like going to restaurants for special occasions. Narval is my favorite, but I have been to Arlequin. Last night for our birthday celebration, we went to Crêpe Chignon, which was lovely. We have a lot of choice of restaurants in the Rimouski area for sure. Voila! The shortbread bakes for 30 minutes at 325. We went with Irene, my mother-in-law, in 2018, and we went to the Isle of Skye. We went to Glasgow, we went to Edinburgh, and it was really fun when we went to the Isle of Skye because she could show us where her great-granny lived and where her great-grandfather, who was a baker, lived, and the different houses were still there. So it was really extreme. It was really fun. Irene, why is shortbread so important in Scotland?
I think because it's fast and cheap to make. Basic ingredients, that's probably which every household would have, okay? You know, there's nothing fancy in it, and so, but also it tastes good because it's good basic ingredients. That's what sums it up.
Thank you. Then you enjoy the shortbread that's been cooked. Voila. Good cup of tea with my shortbread. I dunk it. I dunk my shortbread in my tea.